Now, I know you have lots of other jewels that you harvested from your successes and your trials as you went along. So what are some other lessons that you have that you want to share with us today?
Well, I think there's really four key things that come to my mind. I mean, the first thing is, as you're formulating your business idea, you need to be honest with yourself. This will save you a lot of time and grief and money, because in my experience, most ideas are bad. Now you might come up with something that has, an idea that may have a little hair on it, and it actually could be a good idea if you give it a haircut.
Yeah.
So that's a matter of refining the idea and really understanding, getting back to landing zones.
Yeah.
Where what you're trying to do, what problem are you trying to solve? What key pain point is out there for the customer, and your solution can alleviate that pain. That's critical to it. How long will it take? All these things are elements of a business plan, and being realistic and practical around how long things take. How much money do you really need to raise in order to get from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C? All these things are really important, and being honest with yourself, being self-critical, using friendly relationships to vet ideas before you take them to the customer. But then as you're having discussions with the customer, developing mentorship relationship, coaching relationships. And I've always found that recruiting industry experts onto your either your observatory board or your technical advisory board, your business advisory board, is also very helpful, because then you've got somebody that has a lot of experience in the industry, but on kind of friendly terms with you, giving you coaching and guidance.
That's important.
I think after you've gone through that process and you really feel a high level of confidence that you have something that has value and will work, and it's a matter of convincing other people of that, you really need to be the head cheerleader and evangelist and advocate of that idea. Vetting, scrutinizing is key, but then once you kind of get over the hump, you have to be out there really being super excited about the idea. This is important for your team, this is important for your customers, because if you're not passionate and you're not excited about the idea, nobody else will be either.
Yeah.
They're always going to be a step back from where you're at in terms of the passion. So you really have to have that passion.
Yeah, the way I say it is, why would I write you a check if you're not excited about it?
Exactly.
You better show me you're excited about it every single time I see you. Right?
No doubt.
Right. So I know you've got other examples. Give me an example from Entropic where you had to really be that cheerleader. You really had to beat the drum, so to speak.
Well, in the case of Mocha, which is the thing that became the de facto industry standard for home networking of digital entertainment.
But I remember when it wasn't.
Yeah.
You had HP&A, you had HomePlug, you had a ton of stuff.
Exactly.
Everybody competing for attention.
And people were, basically laughing us out of the room.
Right.
First thing is, nobody's going to do home networking over cable.
Right.
And the second thing is, there's not really a need for the technology. The idea of multi-room DVR, even though we believed in it, it wasn't a wide-held industry belief that you would have a single DVR as a media server feeding video to the other devices in the house.
Right.
So finally people started to believe that multi-room DVR could become a reality, and we continue to plow away with our partners and our customers, and even then it was like, why isn't going to be Wi-Fi? Why isn't it going to be HPNA? Why isn't it going to be HomePlug? And we stuck with our knitting, we stuck with our guns, we continued to refine the technology, we continued to take input from customers, primarily through the Mocha Alliance, and we ended up establishing a de facto industry standard, and Mocha's in tens of millions of homes today in the U.S. and many, many millions of homes outside of the U.S.
It's almost a chicken and the egg. It reminds me of when I was at Qualcomm. People said CMA violated the laws of physics. And why would you need megabit speeds over the air anyway? At the time, it was kilobit speeds. So I think it's a delicate balance. You have to have that passion and enthusiasm. On the other hand, you got to keep listening to your customers. And so this is something I kind of hear in what you're saying, which is you've got to be that passionate cheerleader, but you can't stop listening also. So tell me about your other recommendations. I know there's more.
Well, it dovetails into what you're talking about, Mark. It's really about being patient, but being persistent.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get frustrated in any business venture. We all want immediate gratification, instant gratification, and especially in PayTV, it just is not going to happen. So you have to continue to stick with things. The likelihood is you are going to get stumbling blocks along the way. If you have this idea that you're going to get, a multi-million-dollar deployment with Comcast as your first customer, that's not very likely. In fact, the likelihood is about 0. So you have to start small. You have to, prove your concept. You have to establish your beachhead, and you have to be prepared for the long haul. It's like going on a nature hike. You need to have enough provisions. You need to have enough food, enough water, enough supplies, and you have to think about this as you're raising money to be able to weather the storms along the way, and that's critically important in the pay-TV industry, especially.
Sure.
The final thing is, I think you need to hire the best and brightest people that you can find, and it's like Kleiner Perkins used to say, I would rather have an A team with a B idea than a B team with an A idea.
Yeah.
Obviously you want A idea and A team, but I think if you have the right team, your ideas, even if they start, with a little bit more hair on them, they come around.
Well, the good team will get the hair off.
Exactly. So, hire the smartest people you can, make sure that they're at least are smarter than you are, and, give them an opportunity to prove themselves. I think the other thing you got to be prepared for is once you have the right team in place, and this includes you and the rest of the team, you need to be prepared to work your collective butts off. That's just the way that startups are. And I'm all for a healthy life balance, just not for people for my startup. So I think that you can have life balance after you've made your success, but even if you have a great idea, and you need to have the right team, and you got to be prepared to work hard.
Okay. So let me try to put that together, because what you're saying is, and this is kind of what I do when I coach startup businesses too. You got to really spend the time and do the vetting. You've got to make sure you have an idea that adds some real value to somebody. Preferably the consumer, but also I know I want you to talk about the value to the cable providers too. But and then you got to do the planning, like you said, have the provisions.
Yeah.
It's going to rain, and the bridge is going to be out, and
Yeah.
things are going to happen, right? Or as my friend says, then stuff happens.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to build that great team, be the cheerleader.